So upon request, somebody asked me to show them how to jump peek. So here's like my video, I guess. So jump peeking. What is jump peeking? So jump peeking is where you're jumping out of a position and you're kind of doing like a jiggle peek, but it's like the faster way of jiggle peeking where you can get information, show your body if you need to, and get out like unscathed. Basically, it's a common technique that people use to dodge oppers, and just to make sure that they don't take any extra hits that are unnecessary. It's probably the safest way to get information without having to use your utility like a Sova dart, Sova drone, etc. Stuff like that. So it's so much easier to get information to use the jump peek like this for the example. This is basically what it looks like, and to a lot of players, like if I'm the opposition over here and I'm like looking at this position here, you'll see him like jumping out here time and time again, and that's basically what it's gonna look like. Sometimes you'll show your arm, sometimes you'll see half their body, sometimes you'll see their full body, but obviously with like ping and stuff like that, when you see them jump out, like it's gonna be very hard to react and kill them, so it's there's a less likelihood of dying because you're kind of jumping out of the offset of somebody aiming at the headshot level here, as if you were to jiggle peek. If I were to do this, like there's still a chance that somebody could be holding this angle like really tight and I could die from a one tap and stuff like that. If this guy like has like a vandal posted here for me to jiggle peek him, like he could just theoretically one tap me, right? So that is why we jump peek, right? To avoid dying very early. Okay. So a couple things we're gonna need to know. I guess 3 things you need to know is how much is your body sticking out when you do this jump peek. So a good way to look at it is when you just do standard jiggle peeks here. One thing I like to look at is your radar here. Let's pull up the map. So a little tip you could do with vision cones, which is basically like what you see, what your character model theoretically is seeing. So my character model right now, if there's an enemy right here, he would theoretically see like a part of my body right now. So as I slowly get closer to this wall, like at this point, this guy right here could probably see some part of me, whether it be my elbow, my arms, my right leg, stuff like that. So it's important to know, and you can use this map, and as you can see, like I can't physically see right now like long in this position, right? So as I come out here, I'm already fully exposed to this enemy right here, and I don't even see him yet. Okay, so this is like an important concept that you'll have to understand, whether you're jiggle peeking or jump peeking. Okay, and that'll come with time, as you get used to it. So you're basically just showing your shoulder, in essence. So like that, I can just, like I could jump peek like this, even though I only saw like this angle here. I'll still be showing like my full body in essence. So, and then for the jump spot, like how to actually do it is you're gonna have to requires 2 movement keys in the direction that you want to jump in. So for example, this angle is to peek on the right. I want to use my forward and right key, and when I do the forward and right key motion, keep in mind you don't have to use any mouse movement. So I can literally like pick up my mouse off the mouse pad right now, and I'll just leave my crosshair right here. Okay, and this, for like the lowest level of doing this, you don't need to use your mouse or use any type of mouse movement at all to complement how to actually do a jump spot. So requires your forward and your right key, and then as you jump, depending on how far you want to see. So for example, I'm not moving my mouse, so let's say like I want to see the orb only. Okay, if I want to see the orb, right, I'm already anticipating that I want to jump spot the orb. Okay, so using that as your guidance to how you want to counter the strafe midair, the moment that you want to see the orb, you anticipate to press your left key, and then you press backwards right after. So here's all of it in one motion. So I want to jump spot the orb, and you press backwards and you go back in. It's very straightforward. As you can see in the overlay, I'm going forward and right, and then as I get um, ready to jump peek the angle, I anticipate pressing my left key to, start going inwards, and then I press the backwards key to speed up that process, basically. So this is like how it would look like. This is like a good way to practice it, is just kind of like envision an angle and what you want to actually see physically and what you want to show. So as I'm doing this, like, even though I'm just spotting the orb, the guy on the left corner here, he can still see me, right? That's an important thing to understand, is that as I'm jump peeking like just the orb, right, I could do it from back here, I could do it up close. Basically the enemy will still be able to see me, and I can still like bait shots. Just keep in mind that the enemy might see you, so whether you don't see that left corner, there's a possibility that you could have got timing and he might be walking up like on this left side, for example. So those are things that you have to keep in mind so you don't get timing, basically. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. It's gonna take some practice, I'm just knowing like what you're trying to do is pretty important to how you want to approach your jump peek, right? So if you think like there's an enemy like walking up long, like you can get really close and just kind of do a quick jump spot like that, and you'll fly on his screen so fast, and he won't even be able to really react to you, and you'll get the information you need. And a lot of the times, let's say like I'm a defender on C right now and I'm Sova, there are a nice little trick you can do is you can like jump spot, and then you can bust out your shock like right here, because obviously as I look at this angle, like they're not this deep yet where they can physically see me, right? So I can get a free shock off before they like fully commit to the site, and I have time to react and pull my gun out and do all this other stuff. Okay. Yeah, and then like an advanced way of doing like a jump spot is doing like a double jump spot, or is what I call it, is once you get used to this movement, you can kind of do this jump spot in like in any motion. So instead of doing it forward, you can kind of do it backwards. And here's the example that I'm going to show you. I'm going to jump spot it here, and then I'm going to jump spot it backwards like this. Okay. And I didn't really do it there because it's kind of hard to talk and do it, so I'll just kind of show it. So as you can see, when I did that, I saw this left side, and I did the backwards peek to see this right side here. And basically it's just the counterintuitive is when you do forward and right, I just did backwards and right, and when I jump backwards, I press the left key and I press forward to make it go in faster. That's basically all it is. It's the same concept. It's not very conventional to use this all the time, but it's very hard, and you'd really only want to do it to guarantee like information. And so like an example would be like if I jump spot this and I want to do a double jump spot, it's a little bit risky because you're kind of like showing yourself and then you immediately show yourself again. So like if an operator were to spot you and then you do it again, there's a high chance you die, right? But in essence, why you'd really do it is because you want to spot this angle first, the left side, and then as you're running backwards, the angle kind of favors you, where you don't show as much to this side, but you're also getting eyes that you confirm that he can cross and be stuck in this position, right? It's basically like an example of like why you would want to do it. So, but I don't really advise doing it until you get comfortable. Even I'm not that great with it, but it could be useful. And then just an example of like doing like a left side jump peek would be like in this position. If you want to get information long, it's the same concept. You do left and forward instead of forward and right, and you press the right key and then the backwards key right afterwards. And like I said, you kind of envision where you want to look. So I can do like directly directly in line with this wall to this angle here, and that could be like a good way to spot it, right? So as I get close, I can jump here and just come back in and not have to worry about like dying or anything like that. There's still a chance I die if he's like out wide, but typically like that's where like I'll jiggle peek here first and then jump spot, and that's how you get away with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you jump spot. And yeah.